What's up YouTube? In this tutorial we're talking about the language class of CodeIgniter, and I'm going to use a simple contact form application in order to show this to you. So basically we got a simple contact form here, and the user can change the language here. So if they set it to English, then all of the language on the page changes to English, and they can make it French. It all goes to French. You'll see the boxes moving around. That's just because I didn't do any styling for this, and if you want to do your own styling, you can, but I didn't have time for it in this tutorial. So let's start off with English, and if we click in here, then it just removes the content. We're just using jQuery to help people out and clear that out of there. And same thing with this, but if they type something in there, for example their name and a message, and then they click away, well, now these stay there. Okay. If we click submit here, you'll see we're doing some client-side validation here. Sorry, your message must be longer than 10 characters. And for these two fields here, we're doing client-side validation and server-side validation just to make it super secure. So both the client-side and the server-side will require this message to be at least 10 characters, and the server-side also has other requirements. And the name, I believe it just can't be empty. So if I do this, sorry, you must input your name, or if I just take this away and click submit, well, it can't be the default value and it can't be an empty string. So let's just put that back. And so I think we got 10 characters there, and if we click submit, thank you, your message has been sent. We can go back, and supposing we just forgot all of our English, we can change this to French. And same deal here, when they click submit, now they're getting some French error messages here. And let's choose a French name like Jacques, and Jacques says bonjour, but of course that's not 10 characters, so add some stuff on there, and then they get a French success message right here. So that's basically what we're creating here. And so in this first video, I'm just going to show you how to set everything up, and then the next videos will go deeper into it. So let's jump over to the code, and we'll start with, we got our application folder right here, and let's go into config, and let's look at autoload.php. So inside autoload.php, we're loading the database, form validation, and session libraries. And if we go down to the helpers, I'm using the URL helper, form helper, and HTML helper. Actually, I don't think I used this one in there, but let's just leave it in there for now. And if we go down here, that's it for that. Let's look at config.php. Config.php, base URL is an empty string, and index.php is an empty string. It's better to put a base URL here, but it says here that if we leave it empty, then CodeIgniter will guess the protocol. So in this case, it guessed correctly because my application's working fine. So just leave that as an empty string, but if your base URL is not working, then just set it in there. And let's keep going down here. We can keep going down here to the encryption key, and because we're using the session class, this needs to be set to a value. I hope you would make it something more secure than what I did. And session table name, CI sessions, just leave that how it is. And I'm going to show you in a minute how to create the sessions table. So that's all we have to do for config.php. Let's open database.php, and inside here you'll set your username and your database username, your database password, the name of the database you're working with. In my case, it's just code test, and that's it for that. So let's open up routes.php, and inside routes.php we'll set our default controller. So in my case, my default controller is mypages.php, so I put my pages here, but you can set those however you want. You could call yours main.php, and then your default controller would be main. So just make sure those match up. And I believe that's everything we need to talk about for the config. So let's close these files, and let's go over to our database. Now inside the database, we're just gonna go here to code test, and inside code test, this is a new database we created, and it has two tables in it. It has a messages table and it has the CI sessions table. And let's first talk about the messages table. So inside the messages table, you'll see we have an ID. Let's look at the structure of this. And the ID is int 11 auto increment, and that's the unique table. And the next one is name. That's varchar of 50 characters, and that's all you have to do there. So for the name, we're doing we should do client-side validation that it's not more than 50 characters. We should also do server-side validation that it's not more than 50 characters, and we can do that easily in CodeIgniter, and that's because in the database here it only can take 50 characters anyways. So you want to make sure that those are all working together. Message is a type of text because varchar can only hold up to 255 characters, whereas text can hold a lot more. And then we also have this other variable called createTime, and that type is timestamp, and that gets incremented automatically. We do not need to submit the timestamp to the database. The attributes is on update current timestamp. Let's see if we can just edit this. Actually, we can see everything right here. So yeah, on update current timestamp, default current timestamp, that's the default value. That's where it's getting the default value, and this other stuff. So that is our messages table, and here we have our CI sessions table, and you can see that I'm the only session right now because this is running on my localhost. And let me just show you first how to create this sessions table. So basically you just in CodeIgniter you'll go to you'll find session here, so session class, and you'll just scroll down here and look for this big blob of text right here, create table if not exists, and you'll just copy that and you'll go over to your myadmin and just you'll click on SQL and just paste it in there. And when you run it, that's going to create the table with all of the values you need and stuff like that. So that's super easy to create. And you'll see that this CI sessions match that variable we were looking at before inside the config file. So let's just close this right here. And I believe that's all we need to talk about for the database. Let's just talk one little thing about the CI sessions table. You'll see that by default you'll have a session ID, IP address, the user agent, and the last activity, but you'll notice this last column here is user data, and that is something that I've added manually in here in the code, and we'll look at that soon. So you'll see here that we have the string of 9 characters, and that is the language. Sorry, actually the language is right. That's a string of 8 characters. That's the language. That is our name, and the value of that is a string of 6 characters, which is French. Okay, so we've stored one name value pair in our session so far, and that's a language, and it has a value of French.